The document that was issued by the Catholic Church, Fiducia Supplicans, is creating what most people were already concerned about, the kind of division. There is a lot of people that are just saying not only that we're not going to follow the document, we cannot accept the document as part of the magisterium, meaning the teaching of the church, especially because the people that wanted to abuse the document, I'm going to tell you, the document is very careful to let you know the things that are not supposed to be done so that it doesn't come across as blessing the union, but to bless the individuals, right? They are in a union. Those are different things. Everybody, I don't care who you are, should be at a certain level of proximity to the grace of God. And if the church as the instrument on earth is going to be a reflection of things that we call love and things that there's got to be an effort to always be loving and to be kind. It's an institution that doesn't change that easy that often. I want you to think about the Catholic Church as the biggest, I don't know, the biggest cruise ship that you can think about. Right now, they just put one out there that you can be there for the rest of your life and never come out of it because it's that big with that much accommodation. One of the largest cruise ships out there. That is what the Catholic Church looks like. Just to try to stop those things, it really requires a lot of precision. It moves very slower than It's like so a little church that just came out. It's like the jet ski. You know what I mean? They can come up with, move around and stop and come up with something new and everything. That's not the way. This is a church that for 2 millennia now, has been in a position to say our responsibility is to bring the message of the good news to the people and to bring the people to God. It's not to be popular and not to be according to the times. If it's not, that's the last thing that is supposed to be the main reason to make certain choices. But make no mistake about it. Right now, most of the bishops from Africa have something unusual, which is to come out and just outright pronounce themselves against the document. This can have some significant negative consequences for the Catholic Church.
So what does that? So what does that mean? Like, because if they don't want to take the document into in seriousness, does it mean that can they reject just the document, or are they rejecting the actual set of instructions that's coming from the Vatican, or what's the deal?
It puts a lot of pressure on the hierarchy structure of the church. This is one of those documents that, by being drafted by the Pope, or at least his office, you know what I mean, and being approved by, when you put in your bishops in a situation where they're saying one of the things that we are supposed to do is to be obedient. Obedience is one of there's 3 votes that you're supposed to take when you become a religious person, especially at that level, you know what I mean? But one of them is obedience. The second one is chastity, and the last one is a vote of poverty, right? It's like there's a portion of the people that are part of the Catholic Church that do have the ability to own certain things, but there's also a big portion of the church that doesn't own anything. Meaning, if Lorena was here working in Orlando, gets a phone call saying, "Hey, Lorena, you're going to Argentina. You're gonna grab a couple of underwears and a couple of books, and you're going to whatever you had with you stays where you were." So I have God knows how many books here in my office. I will take the 2 that I like the most, my Bible, my prayer book, and I'm heading to another place, and everything will stay as almost as a gift to the place, because I own nothing. But obedience, it's an important component, because it's part of submitting yourself to a structure that you truly believe comes from God. It's not just, it's not forced obedience, is that you're supposed to look forward to that level of obedience because of what it represents. You know what I mean? It's not just that not everybody is crazy about being obedient to a dictator. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm sure there's a lot of people right now from Venezuela that are not crazy about being obedient to Maduro. You know what I mean? But this is completely different. This is what you're saying. This institution that we believe comes from God, and this is the person who is the, one of the titles of the Pope is the Vicar of Christ, and that is essentially the Secretary of State, the representative of Christ on earth. You know what I mean? And so, and when the people that are under this person are saying, we're not going to obey this, we are not going to. That's a significant problem, because that puts you. I know that you're very familiar with the Catholic Church, and also the Orthodox Church has a very large presence. What is the difference between all the cardinals and all the bishops inside of the Catholic Church, and all the bishops and patriarchs and other high-ranking members, some of them also even called popes? That what is the difference between them and these cardinals and these bishops is that they are essentially saying we reject some of the to be under the concept of obedience from the Pope of Rome. That's already happening from a group of people that is considered separated, right? But if you're going to have that situation happen internally, that can trigger, hey, you know what? We are Catholics, but we're not Roman Catholics. So now you can practice the liturgy and practice just about everything that is connected, and you can still claim we come from that, but we are no longer that because of this.
Yeah.
Because we cannot accept that. That's a significant problem at a time when you need more Christian unity, opposed to just dividing himself. And so it is the traditionalists, it is the people that said we don't even have the. And again, it goes back to certain things we don't have the right to do. The language is not specific anywhere. You can be kind to people, you can love people, but there are certain things that we don't. The Catholic Church doesn't have the right to do so. I don't know, Alexi, if you.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a bad thing for the church as a whole, no matter how you flip it, twist it, or turn it. Because number one, not only is it creating documents that could go against, what the church represents, but then now you're creating a situation where you have people who should be following a hierarchy that they're not, and then they're going to want to decide to break off. That only makes the church as a whole weaker, so I don't think it's a good thing, no matter how you flip it, twist it, or turn it. But what I do believe, which this could be a light at the end of the tunnel, I feel like we would always say that I don't want to mess it up right now, but how is it, tough times create strong people, and strong people create, that whole concept, right? So I think what may happen with the church is that there's going to be an ebb and flow where a portion of the church is going to not be as traditional as they should be, or, to where a portion of them, maybe the ones who know, the ones who are doing things the way it needs to be, maybe that core group will have an ebb and flow as far as how many things are allowed over time, just because, and maybe this is a transition they need to go through. I mean, it's not pretty, but maybe as things gets crazier, it's going to create a situation where the ones who are the core believers and foundation of the church, they will get stronger, and then people are going to at some point look towards that. But unfortunately, that's going to be something where things get worse before they get better, and then how long is that process? Is that something that happens over a 500-year period? So I think it could be good in the end, where the craziness that's happening makes people, more into the religion that they should be. But like I said, that could be.
Well, there's three things that I want to highlight for you guys. The first one is the fact that because this is the election of a pope is supposed to be guided by the Holy Spirit, meaning it's not, obviously there is an election that takes place among the cardinals, but the principle behind that election is that it's guided by the Holy Spirit. So then you got to ask the question, why did God want it? And I had a very close friend of mine that used to say, God will give us the Pope that we need at that moment. And so you got to ask yourself the question, what exactly is it that we need it? If not, and again, I'm going to echo what you're saying, which sometimes you go so far out into certain concepts. His position about socialism, the fact that he is nicer to Fidel Castro and Raul Castro than he was to Donald Trump. Just tells you a little bit about the position and how somebody's thinking. But that's a significant theological implication, which is, it's not just a group of guys that get together and say, popular election, let's see. There is prayer involved. There is discerning involved. There is truly that there have to be. And imagine if the people that are supposed to play at the highest level of values and principles, especially when you connect it to an institution that is taking us to God, and then you're playing politics with that, or you're playing games with that, then what is there to believe after that? So serious implications on one. And the second thing is,
So
remember what yes.
do you believe that there may be even like a, and this is me going like way conspiracy theory, but it's a question. Do you think there may be an infiltration in the church somewhere somehow that is going in there? Like, and I'm talking about an intentional plan. It's not like woke culture took woke culture to where the Pope is now. It's just that somebody is intentionally planted in there to do this specific thing to the church.
100%. As a matter of fact, there's three areas that had always been put out there on the table. One of them coming from communism. We are going to plant people so that 30 years from now, 40 years from eventually they're going to become part of the leadership group.
Wow.
Alexi, your mission is not to go blow up a bridge. Your mission is you're going to stay there for 20, 30 years and you're going to move through the ranks until the point that you have the position. That was a theory. The second one is the Freemasonry has been always at war with the Catholic Church. There's a lot of people concluding that what took place out of Vatican II was influenced by Freemasons. And so that, by the way, guys, when you're talking about conspiracy theory, that's as to the extent that I can show you what a mass, the altar, used to look like before Vatican II. And then I go and I show you what the new altar structure looks like. And then I can show you what a temple, a Freemason temple looks like. And you're going to go like, wait a minute. Today, those Catholic churches look more like a Freemason temple. And again, what was the principle? The same principle. We're going to plant you in there so that eventually, people that were favoring. And the last one is probably the worst one that some people will come up with, which is, listen, some people truly believe that the idea of the devil, Satan, is not just something that sometimes we take almost as a fable, you know what I mean? But they consider that a real presence.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people from a theological perspective says that the concept of the devil is the absence of goodness or the absence of light. But in reality, the Catholic Church accepts the real presence of, that level of negative influence. Sometimes you wonder, if it comes from that place. And the worst part about it is that you have a lot of people that actually like the man. They do like the man who is Pope Francis, you know what I mean? And they don't have an issue. They think that he's a nice guy. He's a good guy. But we've seen a lot of nice guys that created a mess.
A lot of chaos, yeah.
A lot of people, right? Because again, we go into false mercy, lack of holding people accountable when it's needed more than anything else. And the last thing that I want to remind you about is the fact that he has consecrated, ordained 73% or 72% of the people that has the ability to participate as a new pope. So that group of cardinals, they get to participate in the election of the new pope.
Yeah.
73% of them have been ordained, chosen, placed there, consecrated by Pope Francis. And obviously he's going to be choosing the people that are more in alignment to his way of thinking than so. But Alexi, you said something extremely important. Sometimes it becomes so obvious that it's not going well, that we're running the risk of dividing the church to the point that it could be like another Martin Luther type of situation. And so there is a possibility that the next pope, can be somebody that will be more, I don't want to say traditional, but less of a libertarian type of thing, you know what I mean? Or liberal, to be quite honest with you. We have a pope that's very liberal. It's not even a question of libertarian. It's just straight up liberal and very much into this whole green movement agenda. The Catholic Church have to get out of the business of the green movement business and go back to the business of the souls. The responsibility is not how do we keep water from rising. Number one responsibility is how do we keep people from going to hell? You know what I mean? And so, but with that being said, guys, any final takeaways?